Okay, let's just back to the Chinese version first. That would be last time we have done, but maybe I just give a little review. Not like before last time. Before last time we almost review everything, but we just have a little review on the last what we talk about the contemplation of the Dharma on the page 22nd, right, in English. The Chinese, of course, is in 21. Okay. Basically means from the come to the I mean when you look at the text, just get a little how to say this a gist on what we talk the last discussion on this the contemplation of Dharma. So we know that the four foundations of mindfulness, there are four. Then the mindfulness have the object. The object will be that four objects. The main object is the body as an object, but sometimes, as I say, it can be understand the body as a collective noun, means a material thing. So, but not necessarily only just completely restricted to mean the body, mean just only the body itself also. But then also the body, since the body sometimes, especially in the Chinese version, we are not discuss a Pali version yet. In the Chinese version, when you look at the content of the body, contemplation of the body, and since they also put very clearly, they put the four jhana there, okay, the four jhanas. So anyone, if you have question, you raise four jhanas means kind of like when somebody have meditated into a certain what we call this stable stage, and then the person can learn how to enter the jhana. So they have the four jhana been mentioned in the Chinese version. Even not only just been mentioned in the Chinese version, it's also interestingly also the jhana also been prescribed also in relation to the body too. That means in the jhana you could feel how the body what happened would what kind of thing would happen in the body. Okay, so but of course in tradition, especially in Abhidharma, sometimes especially in Abhidharma. So usually when we understand the body, we would talk what we call this rupa kaya and then nama kaya. Okay, that means one is mean the body of the material, mean rupa kaya, and then the body of the mental. Okay, don't call mental body or bodily. I don't know, bodily body maybe. Okay, so so it's just like English, the word body can mean something collectively, right? Yeah, so even like in English, okay, when you say, okay. All right. And then we also understand after that, we are going to discuss more and more. So firstly, you have to know the elements, what is doing there. What are the elements contained in the Chinese version? And then we move on to the contemplation of not only just the body, but then to the feelings, right? And after those feelings, similarly, like it looks like that when someone who's at finishing of establishing the mindfulness on the feelings, and then you move on to for the mind, okay, to contemplate or we say establish a mindfulness on the mind. 为什么一直在打？ Okay, on the mind. 你可以把声音先关了，因为他没有问问题。在那边呢，你要把那个喇叭先关掉。
The mind is section 4.
The mind is section 3. So in English version is it been translated on page 22, right? Contemplation of the mind. In other words, I mean you have you know the mind there about I think it's 20 something. It's
It seems like there's so much more in the Agama than in the Pali.
Yes, there are much more in Agama and the Pali. It's true. And then after that, now we discuss also about after the contemplation of the mind. In other words, we understand the body, and then understand the contemplation on the body and contemplation of feelings as well as the mind, and then come to the contemplation of the dharmas. Okay. I mean, that might be your question, but I think that we will discuss that in the party first, later. Okay. So, and then in the Dharma, so basically, actually, the Dharma, it's more. It seems like it is the important kind of like something that has not only is a factual thing that you could observe, okay, but it's also the factual thing that you observe, like the body is a factual thing you can observe, but then the feelings is a factual thing you can observe, as well as the mind is factual things it can be observed. But then it's not only that, but it's from there it also have in relation to the Buddhist teachings. Okay, so and or you could say according with the teachings. So the important here is looks like the first thing is about. So whenever whatever senses we're using, the six senses, everyone understands the six senses, right? Whenever there's a six senses with the object of the six senses, and then someone has to be able to discern or to aware, or depends on. That's a big topic later I'm going to talk. So it's or to be aware or pay attention, or to be aware or to recollect, whatever you like to translate, even though so many different opinions. But let's say just take that simple first. I mean, you know something, you're aware something, so and not only with those, but you have to aware whether there is factors there or not, okay? So normally the factors been understood as there are 9 kind of factors, right? So, or 10 kinds of factors.
It's factors, or you said factors or factors?
Factors. So that means we learned the Abhidhamma class that there are 9 types of factors, right? Anyone can relate the factors? So say, sometimes we can say there's, so let's say the 9 factors is the last, one as a 1. Hostility is a 1, or you could say the anger. Actually, it's not anger. The word pratika basically is like conflict. You feel conflict, okay? So first is the last, and the second one is the like a conflict, but sometimes we translate as hostility, okay? And the third one is the conceit, right? The conceit. But sometimes conceit can be understood as 7 types or 3 types or 9 types. Do you remember that still? The list is somewhat, I think it's somewhat important. If you don't remember the conceit have 9 types, or you don't remember the conceit have 7 types, but at least you have to remember the conceit got 3 types, right? The 3 types of conceit is that one is that what we call the 下慢, 中慢, 上慢. I don't know. So 下慢 means that the lower conceit. Actually, maybe in a more, if you put in a more modern term, it will be like inferiority complex. Okay, so it's a kind of conceit, but it's an inferiority complex. Okay, and then the 上慢, it means the superior complex. It's referred to the very proud. Because arrogant, yeah, maybe good. Arrogant is what arrogant. And then the third one is called the equal, what we call the equal complex, the conceit. That is actually, it's still, according to the Buddhist understanding teaching, is why you have this equal conceit, because you still think, you still have a very subtle attachment of the ego, or what we call the I concept. So you think I and you are equal. So to Buddhism, in a way, to Buddhism, even the concept of equality, something.
But it's selfing, it's another self.
Still, there's a equality concept is still with the concept of the self, even though it's the last one you need to remove. The first one, accordingly, is that you need to remove the conceit, which is the lower one, that the inferior complex. Okay. Only after when you can remove the inferior complex and then you remove the samman. So those are called this, what we call this, the arrogant. Like you think that you are better than other, okay? And then only when you can remove those, and then you can able to see this, you still have this equal complex. That what we call the equal conceit, okay? Yes, you have questions? Huh? Now this is what it is when you practice a foundation of mindfulness. It's there already, because then you will know you have this conceit, okay, because you're seeing this, how it comes, how it goes, okay, by awareing it itself, okay. Okay. But of course, this is not supposed to be our subject since you asked. Generally, it's believed that a person only remove their inferior complex is when they really see the Nibbana as possible. And then the people, after only that, then the people up to the third fruit, that means the anagami, mean the non-returner, they still retain this conceit of the, what we call the upper superior. But those conceit we are talking about, the arrogant, is not as what we understand as normal arrogant. It's a very subtle thing they may not show, but it's still inside there. So, conceit is also one of the last factors. Not the only one, but it's one of the last factors. So that's why I say even conceit itself as one element, if you divide into three, if you put in the three levels, so people who before attend the stream mentor, so or not only stream mentor, they don't have to be arrived to the stream mentor, but about, let's say they see the Dharma, they already know the Dharma, they know there's a possibility of Nirvana, so by their experience, and then the inferior complex will remove. But they only remain this superior conceit. That means they know that they are better than the other. But only Arahant remove the equal conceit. According, this is a general understanding. But you know, everything in Buddhism, Dharma always have a little discussion on that. So we leave that. Always learn something general first, okay? Okay. And then, so the last, the hostility, conceit, and the fourth one is the ignorance. So, and the fifth one is the views. You know the views, and then let me finish all first. And then the sixth one is irrational adherence. Sometimes it means people holding the. So basically, people holding the. People holding like the wrong way thing as a kind of right way. You know.
Irrational what?
Irrational adherence. It's just a translation. Adherence. And then the number 8. Number 7 is doubt, and the number 8 is the jealousy, and the number 9 is the avarice. Okay, avarice generally, you know, stingy, like. All right. 就是接纳，so kind of like. Actually, no. Matsuriya is more like. You don't want to share what you have to people. Okay. Anyway, so let's because if you study Abhidhamma, I think last time we talked a lot about those things. But okay, let's just back here. So in other words, mean you will abide by the six senses. Then you. That's what mean the contemplation of the Dharma is when somebody develop the mindfulness. So when it becomes strong, of course, it means that you've been able to observe the previous three already. That means the body, the feelings, as well as the mind. And then you will be able to contemplate whenever the eyes have the object, and you know whether when the eyes start to have the contact with the object, whether you arises this kind of any say that this, let's say this nine types of the list there, whether you have this kind of internally, whether these factors will be arises or not arises. So that's why I said the factors here, you either arises, you have to know, either they are not arises, you have to know, either they were just previously arises, but now it's not arises, you have to know, or either they are not arises, like they just drop off, or they just disappear, and you have to know. So, okay. No question now, okay? Now let's, if a question, when we finish, we can discuss a little bit more. And then the next one is the page 24, okay? On the page, that means the number 4 contemplation. Number 2, you can see, I put a Romanized letter, 4.2. Shall we read that again first, okay? 1, 2, 3, again.
Again, a monk contemplates Dharma with regards to the Dharma. When desire really exists eternally, a monk knows that it actually is. Desire exists. When desire really does not exist internally, he knows this is actually is. Desire does not exist. If there arises a previously arisen desire, he knows this as actually as it is. If arisen desire has ceased and no longer arises, he knows this as actually is. Anger, sleep, restlessness, and remorse. When doubt really exists internally, he knows that it actually is. Doubt exists. When doubt really does not exist internally, among righteous actually is. Doubt does not exist. If there arises that previous arisen doubt, he knows this as actually is. If arises doubt has ceased and no longer arises, he knows this actually is. Thus the monk contemplates internal dharmas with regards to dharmas, contemplate external dharmas with regards to external dharmas, establish mindfulness of dharma,
Possession, knowing, see.
understanding, and penetration. This is what is meant by a monk contemplates dharma with regards to dharma, namely the five hindrances.
All right. So I think that for those who are familiar with the Buddhist meditation, usually, I mean, this is a very common topic, is about the five hindrances, okay? And the five hindrances, of course, I mean, if people are not really, say that some people might always take the five hindrances, always indirectly relate to only the jhana, okay? But it's very clear in the four foundation of mindfulness text here. So the five hindrances is also actually has to be, it not only just relate to the jhana, but because usually it's understand when the five hindrances be away, and then you are in the first jhana already. So, but then of course that raises up a lot of questions in the future. But I don't want myself raise a question because I want myself more peaceful. So generally here it's said actually when you are doing the contemplation of Dhamma, so you have to know the same thing, that if that the five hindrances arises, you have to know it arises. If the five hindrances disappear, you have to know it disappear. When it previously arises, and you have to know previously arises. The same thing when even it arises, right, but it disappears, but you still have to know the five hindrances arises and it's been arises and now disappear. So in other words, you know, the five hindrances first is about the last, okay? The last, the last can be understood many ways, but generally understand the last as, firstly, basically the sexual last is as the most stronger one. And then the second one is that would be, the last is in terms of you attach to any senses, the kind of the comfort. You like the certain kind of comfort in on your senses, okay? But here, I guess, I won't say the senses, but it's about the mind. It's a kind of something that really only exists in the mind, okay? The last that you like something that might be you like to sit comfortable. So that itself, that you like that kind of the gratification, that you want a seat that is comfortable itself. That is that also can be understood as the karma. That means the first hindrance, okay? And then the second hindrance is, the anger. So, and then the third one, the hostility, the anger. And the third one is the sleepiness and drowsiness. This is very common. People doing meditation, reading a book, doing the thing. I think that definitely is one of the, anger is the one, because let's say you sit there and you're doing meditation, whether you're sitting or walking or whatever posture, but then you do feel unpleasant feelings. You don't like it. That itself is anger, right? So that's another. So let's say you don't feel the seat is comfortable. That is anger. The word comes to it mean uncomfortable. It means you have this hostility already. The hindrances of anger are kind of like. I'm not saying the anger means in the like exposed, really huge reaction, but it's just like something unpleasant feelings that comes to you. So, but you have to know when it's there. Oh, I have feeling. I have this. It's not feeling. Sorry. I have this in the mind that I don't feel comfortable with my. There's something I don't feel comfortable. So, say that might be because my posture, like, usually it's very hard sometimes I remind people. But of course, sometimes even including myself, I know well, but at least when I teach, I remind people. It's like, when you sit in a posture, some people think, oh, I feel stiff on my body, and then they want to, then they want to adjust it. Why they want to adjust? Because their mind is not happy, okay? So you have to observe that your mind is not happy.
But what about if you're adjusting with intention of being more mindful and more alert? With if that's
No, I don't.
intention?
Adjustment itself, if you believe that to be adjust, if you believe that when you adjust you will be better, that is wrong view.
But you don't want to fall asleep going like this. You want to sort of be more.
No. Listen, this is very important.
So I just want to make you very clear that distinction
This is what I want to say. Let's say
intention is, right?
in the first one,
Yeah.
when we say the number one, so say that if I adjust it, right? Why you want to adjust it? You have a view. You think I had to sit this way. Only this way is good, right?
But if I'm falling asleep.
No. You don't jump the topic. You were asking adjust a posture. When you adjust a posture that time, because you have a view, the view is fine. That's why according to the Dharma, the contemplation of Dharma, so if you know that you have this view that you want to adjust, so that's fine.
But know it.
It's there, right? And then the view gone. Maybe something else coming, right? Or maybe this kind of adjustment, like you say, if you really understand, I adjust because, like you say, I fall asleep, so I need to adjust to make me wake up, right? So, and then what kind of the factor will be there? It can be the factors because you believe that every time when you fall asleep, if you adjust your posture, you'll be awake. But it might be true for you in this time, but when you practice longer, if you believe that as only way and that is true, then you will fall into what we call this, just now we say, no, you fall into this irrational adherence, right? Paramasa.
So I better get better then.
No, you know what I'm saying? That
Yeah.
No, okay. I just want to analyze here, so like since we come to, not that topic already, we come to this topic
subtle.
of the most subtle means like when you say the five hindrances, this is nothing to do with the jhana, but it's all about what you could say is about, nowadays we like to use the word called the insight meditation, whatever. But sometimes I quite hesitate to have to really narrow it that way. But anyway, here, it's very clear to say that when your mindfulness come to that way, right? So then you know that when there's discomfort, then you know there's a discomfort, and discomfort feelings arise because and it goes. That is part of the hindrances that you're observing. Okay. The same as the sleepiness and drowsiness. So so when it's there, you have to know when it's there. When it's gone, you know when it's gone. You know the previous it was there, but now it's not here. Like say the drowsiness, you have to know very clearly. That's called mindfulness, right?
The process of waking up.
Yeah, and then and the same thing that when then it was here, but now it's gone right now. So you know clearly it gone. Okay. So that is
Very, very
okay.
clear.
So this is that's also one thing is like people doing meditations, people have a lot of misconceptions. Sometimes they think when I do meditation, the drowsiness should not come to me. According to the Buddhist understanding, the only Arahant and the Buddha will never have drowsiness because they are completely cut off the five hindrances. Otherwise, any sense before they become Arahant and Buddha, the five hindrances, even though it's a small, of course, become smaller and smaller, affect you, but it will still exist. Okay. And of course, those people who are really powerful and then they know how to cope with that. No, I won't say cope. They know how to have the correct way. In other words, to develop this mindfulness so that then you will not stay in ignorance. And know what comes, what goes, what stay after staying, and then goes away.
So then the Arahant, they could sleep or not sleep, it's up to them?
No, I don't know how to sleep. Now here it regard to when someone are doing really want to on mindfulness, not that they want to have a physical sleeping. Of course they have to go to sleep. It doesn't mean that they don't go to go to sleep. But I mean that they will cut off because they will not interfere by these five hindrances anymore.
So when they're awake, they're fully awake.
Yeah.
And their sleepiness is gone. Okay.
They would not like, you know what I mean? Like even when meditate or whatever doing, they're doing something and they feel drowsy.
How do they do it without coffee though?
That's of course that's a modern science approach. I don't know, but you know very well.
But in Japan, that's why the tea from China was so important because they kept it very alert.
Yeah, but that is nothing to do with the Arahant and the Buddha,
I mean,
right?
Practice. It was a practice.
But you see, if you believe that only coffee will make you to be awake, then we also against our the Dharma understanding, right?
Yep.
So when we're practicing, do we, if we're not experiencing drowsiness or anger, we have to contemplate that we're not experiencing that. So we have to consciously go through the fetters or the hindrances to be aware that we're not having them or we are. Like it's a conscious choice in the practice to bring up the hindrances in a way, not bring them upon us, but to be aware of them. So
check.
To check them off.
I don't think it's not checking. But of course, I don't think it's checking. I don't mean that you cannot check, but checking is always related to the past, right? It looks like so far, of course. Look at the passage. It looks like the passage, at least if you look at it really literally, that it didn't mention about the past. But it doesn't mean that you cannot meditate on the past. Like, what yesterday, whether I was sitting there, I was drowsiness or not. You can. But at least literally, there's no such thing. So let's just skip that part first. So that's why I won't use the word check. It's like that's why some people like to translate it as a bare awareness or bare mindfulness, which I'm not totally also. If you ask me, everyone have different opinions, but anyway, let's put that opinion later. We just have to see the text. Basically, okay, it's very clear. It means sometimes some people have to really have the perfect or strong awareness, right? So let's say you're sitting here when you knew that your mind start to get a little bit blur, right? That's drowsiness, and then you know you have the blur coming. But then maybe I suddenly mentioned something like, oh, I have a best chocolate for you. And then you awake, right? Then you know your ear listen to the sound, and then you hear the chocolate, of course. If I say something, maybe you still drowsiness, right? Let's say you really thirst for the chocolate. And then you suddenly like, ding, you wake that gone. So you know it gone, and not only gone, your ear, like we back to the previous, and then your ear have the contact with the sound, and then because of chocolate, it makes you understand. So you have a kind of pleasant feelings arise. That's feeling. But if you know that the factor will arise, so what kind of factors?
Desire.
Yeah, the desire factors will arise, right? So anyway, this what I want to say, the desire factors will arise. So then you know you have these factors. And then you think, oh, I shouldn't think so. I meditate now, right? And then that factor is gone. Then you might be that time. Then maybe because you thought I should continue my meditation and then gone. But I really give the chocolate, but you still meditate, and then you maybe get unhappy feeling, right? So then you know there's another drowsiness. That means you want something is so strong, and then you start to feel your mind disturbed. So all comes to your drowsiness, confusion, right, anger, and then you start to feel nothing is right. Like a body, what this is cushion, why don't I just stand up now, have a little while? And I just can have a chocolate, right? So all this is about the five hindrances too, right? Okay. And but it's important also in Chinese that they also have this say that the sleepiness. Oh, so and then also I think that's and then also there's 调悔. So there's a remorse also. Okay, the remorse. Regret. It's very it has.
A fetter?
No, it's not. This is called five hindrances.
Oh, five hindrances.
We're still in the five hindrances. So in the regret, that happened a lot.
Restlessness isn't worry.
What? No, not worry. There's the regret, restlessness, and remorse. Okay. And then the remorse is basically the restlessness means that the mind is like activate or agitation, you could say. Or the mind is really like, not control, but you have a lot of agitation. When I say agitation, don't mean the mind. Well, anyway, your mind is thinking this and there non-stop, right? You cannot control your mind, basically. You think about the future, something define that. Just think about the future, think about the past of future, the past of future, the past of past. But if you can observe your mind, think about the past and future, that's okay. But the thing is that usually when the mindfulness is not very strong, and then you've been carried away by that, what you're thinking of past, right? Like, oh, yesterday I was doing that. Oh, I shouldn't do this now. Yesterday I should do that and this. I shouldn't do this. I should do that. I should do that, right? But you've been carried away. But you can observe that you have this restlessness as well. Okay. That I am thinking this yesterday, or I'm thinking future, like later I want to do this. I haven't finished I forgot to call somebody in the telephone, right? And I didn't reply the phone, and maybe later I will reply after this meditation, and this is also restlessness, right? So, okay. But you could actually know that you're thinking about that. But you normally know you've been carried away, but if you observe it, oh, I'm thinking this is also that you are contemplating the Dharma as the Dharma. Okay. The remorse is very common to people also. Lots of people do meditation always asking the same question, like I'm not good in meditation. 1 year ago I was good, now it's not good. It's one of the hindrances. So that's why usually the technique will ask you, just know it. You have this idea. But some people think, no, I'm not good. Somebody disturbed me yesterday. Yesterday I was good. And the day before I was mad. That's remorse. Okay. But then when the people are ignorant, so I don't want to say this word, otherwise people throw the stone to me. And when the people are not mindful, good, thank you so much. Yeah.
This we're talking about mindfulness. So the cure all this is mindfulness.
Yeah, when the people are not mindful and then they don't know, this is also one of the hindrances when you feel regret or remorse. Okay. No question, right? Somebody want to sleep already. So the drowsiness, sleepiness come.
Can I? Sorry.
I have a question. Can you elaborate on what the word Dharma means here?
Yeah, actually, so far, let's just simply. Dharma, of course, the word is being put. The word, of course, it's like I had to find some English term. It's very simple. Like even Chinese or any language, sometimes they have a kind of term. It's been used the term according to the context, then to understand what does it mean. So that's why I say that generally my way of saying that understand easier way. This is how I do it. The Dharma generally understand as Buddhism believe that something is a factual thing. Like a truth is a truth. It's a factual thing. Say that I'm angry. It's a factual thing. And however, if I let's say I'm angry because of somebody. Let's say there is a factual thing. It's a Dharma also. But only this Dharma is being understood. This kind of factual thing is under the category of what we call unwholesome Dharma. Okay, the Dharma which is unwholesome. But it's a factual thing. The factual that is something unwholesome. But if I think that people with the compassion mind or loving mind, right? So I don't have anger. I only have compassion mind, and I have the good mind. That is also called Dharma. Okay. So generally, this is how we understand. And then also, but when you put into the Dharma word into the words, like say, I need to put it to describe something, then that would become a kind of what we translate in English called a teaching, right? But according to Buddhism understand, actually, the teaching itself, it's also a factual thing. Because the Buddha, accordingly, you believe that the Buddha don't teach something is not fact. So, right? It's not according to the Buddhism understand, right? The word Dharma. And that also originally the word Dharma is come from because there are two ways. One thing is that it's understanding in Indian context. Usually, we have a kind of principle in the universe. That we call read. There's a Sanskrit we call read. It's a kind of principle. But that's almost like a universal principle. Let's say there's a universe principle. But within the principle, actually, there's a kind of law going on. Like if I slap you, you definitely not anger. Not definitely. Generally. If I'm talking about if this person I don't like or what, or not a lover. So you slap a lover, maybe they like it. But generally, like you don't know the person, you slap somebody, right? So let's say you slap somebody is not a lover and they get anger. So that is, he will anger is a dharma. It's a law. It's become like almost like you're learning the Newton first law, second law, and third law. But that is the kind of like law of dharma. But then of course the content of dharma become very huge and big. Because if you come to the realization, then the dharma of the realization might be sometimes sound different to the dharma of like what we call for the puthujjana, for the mundane people. Right? Wait, okay, let's say I do good thing for a person. According to Buddhism belief that if I be generous, I will be always get a good marriage, right? It's a dharma. Right, okay. But it looks like here, but now that context you can put it here too. But then the strange thing is that if that kind of context you put it here, you cannot say that the previous what you practice is not dharma, right? Okay, according to this text. Do you get what I'm saying?
You mean
the contemplation of the body?
Right, so that's dharma.
So because the Buddha said it very clearly, if you contemplate the body, and then it will help you to you put away your worry, you put away your grief, right? And then you will know what is the true dharma. So you couldn't say that. That's why I say it's very interesting in Chinese. Say then you know the true dharma. The Saddharma means the true dharma, not the other dharma, right? But you cannot say that they are not dharma too. So that's why my understanding here, the dharma here, even though it also carry the same meaning, but it may be more in the in the narrow sense, I guess. It's more about deeper dharma, which is maybe highly related to the cut off the defilements, and then also the dharma, which is also certainly for someone to be a kind of high, become the beyond the sainthood. I mean, no, become beyond this the mundanehood and become the sainthood.
So that use of dharma is for the true dharma
and also very subtle kind of very important and very ultimate, very unique, or very refined kind of dharma, the factor, the truth there.
Okay, and so for in paragraph 4.2, is that?
And it has relate to must be the Buddhist teachings, as I just say.
Okay.
I'm
so a bit confused.
It takes a lot.
Yeah.
If you understand the awakening, if you understand the Dharma.
No, I think maybe so far. Put it this way first, and then later more. I because actually I knew that somebody who even write a book, whole book about Dharma.
Right.
It's still, I don't think he has a final answer. Okay, with the book. But I want to say that certainly in Buddhism, I understand that Dharma is a kind, almost like a principle. But usually we don't like to put it as exactly like an Indian term as a principle, because it certainly have to do with the sentient being. It's not only just a theory. Okay.
That I understand.
Okay, and then that kind of factual thing, maybe you could even divide it into whether they belong to the mundane factor, a truth, or the super mundane truth. Okay.
Okay, I understand that.
Okay.
So in this among contemplates dharmas with regards to dharmas, is that the factual object you're talking about earlier?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you see, you have to do the factor earlier. Right. You must know that what happened in the eyes, what happened in the object of the eyes, right? They are still the dharma, but then they are those two factors. But you are not only looking at this kind of the factor, but you are actually not only mentioning this material factor, but you are looking at more than the material factors. To Buddhism mean mostly the mind. Okay. Some kind of quality in the mind. Okay. And then that certainly had directly related to the Buddhist teachings. Okay. So we know about the 5 hindrances. We may almost done, and the last one will be according to the Chinese version, but the Pali have more list than this. Okay. And then the Chinese version here, and then the number 3 let's just read that too also, can we? No, page 24, okay.
Again, one contemplates Dharma when the mindfulness and enlightenment factors really exist internally, and monk knows this is actually is. The mindfulness and enlightenment factor exists. When the mindfulness and enlightenment factors really does not exist internally, he knows that this is actually is. The mindfulness and enlightenment factor does not exist. If there arises the not previously arose in mindfulness and enlightenment factors, he knows this actually is. If there arises mindfulness and enlightenment factors, it is not forgotten, does not decline, and is further developed and increased, then he knows this actually is. Thus, discrimination of dharmas, energy, rapture, tranquility, concentration, and the equanimity, enlightenment factor really exists internally. A monk knows this as it actually is. The equanimity, enlightenment factor exists. When the equanimity, enlightenment factor really does not exist internally, he knows this as it actually is. The equanimity, enlightenment factor does not exist. If there arises that not previously arisen equanimity and enlightenment factors, he knows this as it is. If the arisen arise is not forgotten, does not decline, and is further developed and increased, then he knows this as it actually is. Thus, a monk contemplates internal dhammas with regard to dhammas, contemplates external dhammas with regard to dhammas, and establish mindfulness on dhammas, possessing, knowing, seeing, understanding, and penetration. This is what is meant by monk contemplates dharma with regards to dhammas, namely the seven enlightenment factors. If a monk or nun does contemplate dhammas with regards to dharma little by little, this is called the foundation of mindfulness that is contemplating dharma with regards to dhammas.
All right, thank you. So anyway, so here and after that, certainly it's believed that not only that you know the factors as the very subtle dharma, and then you also understand, and then you also know whether there's a 5 hindrances, whether they are arises or not arises, whether they previously arises and gone, or whether they presently arises but they have gone already as well. That is a kind of mindfulness you establish on that, and then you move on to actually understand the 7 factors for enlightenment. Of course, traditionally, that anyone that had to gain the enlightenment, that's the reason why they call 7 factors of enlightenment, because when the enlightenment arises, these 7 factors of enlightenment has to be there, or has to be not only just one, but the 7 of them are there. Okay, let's look at generally what does it mean. So the first one is that certainly the same thing, like you have to understand that whether these enlightenment factors, those factors, whether they all exist at the same time, okay? Or you could say that whether they all exist. At least you have to know whether one exists, one gone, one still there, or whether they all will exist there. So, and whether you can, basically you have to, this is different there. Before previous one, you need to put it away, right? Not that you really want to put it away. It's a method. If you want to put it away, you are increasing the desire already. So then you increase this kind of factors to you, or actually, or due to because of certain factors, so your what you call your hindrance will arise. Okay. Now, but when you just practice it, mindfulness and observe naturally, and then the 7 factors will be established. The first one is the discerning the Dhamma. So then you know what should be discerned, what should not be discerned, what should be discern more, what should be less discerned. Okay. So so let's say, let me see how to say the example. Let's say you sit there and then you feel drowsiness. Okay, and then some people will because when the drowsiness comes, and then they might be so. Accordingly, because the drowsiness comes to you and you're aware the drowsiness are there, you should be able to discern the drowsiness. Okay, I'm talking about not a beginner. Is at this stage, So you should be able to discern the drowsiness. But some people think, okay, there's a drowsiness, like you say. And then if there's a drowsiness now, I shouldn't discern the drowsiness because I don't want this drowsiness. So I move my body. Then that is mean then you're discerning something which is not supposed to be discerning. But maybe your impulse comes there, and then you just make it that way. Okay.
I thought discrimination was the third factor. I thought it was mindfulness, there was effort, then discernment.
No. The first one.
Oh, is it? Oh, I didn't know that. Sorry.
Huh?
No, I'm thinking of the Pali order usually. Mindfulness, because this has different sequence. The Chinese.
No. Even the Pali, only the different Pali and Chinese. Sometimes this is not on all the time. Sometimes the Pali put the sati first.
Yeah.
And then the second one we put this Dhamma, discerning. I think here is discerning Dhamma first, right?
You put discrimination first here in the translation. But
Oh, here is also actually true. It's also the mindfulness first.
Okay, because you said mindfulness was first.
So that means your mindfulness is strong, and then and then you start to discern the Dhamma. But of course, this can be interchangeable. This is also is a big topic to talk anyway. So forget about this. So it can be interchangeable. I mean, you should know that whether you have mindfulness or whether you have you have to discern the right Dhamma, or you're discerning the not right Dhamma. Okay? All right. Hello? No? I get confused now. Okay, all right.
So discerning right Dharma as in this is Dharma and this is not Dharma?
No, actually here, maybe did I use the wrong English? Let me see. Let me see how it translates first. Discrimination of dharmas. So whether you have the enlightenment factors of discrimination of dharma or not having the discrimination of dharma.
Right.
So the preliminary stage, you will know whether you're discerning the correct one or not correct one. And then later you'll know whether you have this kind of discerning power or not, that you can discriminate the dharma, whether you're doing correct one or not correct one.
So would you say it's you're doing the wrong thing or the right thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, say that I just give same example, like when the drowsiness comes to you, right. Because this is related to the hindrances.
Right.
So presumably, the right thing is you have to observe that drowsiness, right? Then you have to know whether drowsiness is there or not there. Okay. But this is of course a big topic. I'm saying that this is a later stage. I'm not talking because some people get confused because they're in earlier stage. Sometimes the teacher asks you not to do that. So because they have no power to do that. All right. We forget that question, okay? Because no. Make it simple is that I need to remind you, we are talking about that you have been able to contemplate your body already, contemplate your dharma, your feelings. Okay, remember? No. Your body, your feelings, and then your minds, and then now you're doing the dharma. Okay, I'm talking this perspective now. Right. So, but it doesn't mean this thing practicing is not happening in the earlier time, right? You might be something when you meditate, you in your body you see the factors there too, right? But according to the text, we're reading the text now. At this stage, so let's say should be observing the Dharma, right? To contemplate the Dharma. And then you just stop, okay, the drowsiness, I need to move so that I don't drowsy. Let's say the move itself, right? So, and that might mean you are not correctly discerning the Dharma. Okay? I mean, as I say, is a big subject, the discerning the Dharma, okay? And all right, so just let's do it that way, understand. And then this is one, mindfulness is the first one, Dharma is the second one. And then of course then energy is the third one, whether you have the factor of energy. I mean, you really observe, and observe. No. And then also then you feel that why that's observing, even though it's so complicated, people usually hate it. Usually. Because I like jhana, I like just only nice stage. I don't want this kind of, I know I have fetters, the fetter is gone, no fetters, and fetters before there, and then now it's not there, and then the fetter is there, now it's gone, and then my drowsiness come and go. Actually, this is a very busy time. my understanding is actually this is a very important time and it's also busy. Your mind is fully almost like a madman, okay? Like you almost like, there's so many thoughts comes to you. Not because you have drowsiness, not because you have no focus and no mindfulness. It's because your mindfulness is so good, okay? Get it now? Mm-hmm. So good that you know every detail going on, everything. So factors coming, going, and then these hindrances coming and going. And when I have thinking when I see something is coming, going, right, and all this kind. So it becomes very, very busy. So it's believed that when you practice this stage, you are really busy. You don't have time to think anything else. Yeah, maybe. How to say? Anyway, you're so busy. You're so busy. So that's why you have to check very, very well that whether this is a mindfulness, the enlightenment factors and mindfulness are there. The discerning, the enlightenment factors for discerning Dharma is there, right? Energy is there. Otherwise, you will just fell up. You say, okay, let me take a break. But you're supposed to be in a very good meditation that if you say, I want to take a break, then you know what I mean.
But it takes a while to develop that kind of mental strength and stamina.
If it not, wow, we all sit here become a Buddha already. I think a long while actually. and then also, yeah, and also not only this, you feel this tranquility also, peaceful, okay, the tranquility, and then you also feel this the focus, concentration. The focus, not as a samadhi, not as what we say that's concentration itself. It's just a focus becomes so unique. Okay, and the last one is that then you almost feel like equanimity. So like everything, you take everything almost like become you can be almost like just the object of your observing. So almost like that I as a person is not exist. Okay, joy, and observe the thing.
Joy is missing.
No, joy is there. Rapture, just different translation, yeah. So, and then the rapture is there. Anyway, so then that's how you have established the 7 factors of enlightenment. It is believed that once you establish the 7 factors of enlightenment, in other words, mean you could see the Dharma arising and ceasing, and then also certainly the factors arising and ceasing, and then arising and ceasing, and then ceasing. And then what factor will be ceased, that factor will be ceased. What hindrance is gone, and that's why this factor ceased, and so on, right? This is much to do with the dependent arisings kind of thing. Because that factor is given, so this arises. When the factors is not given, that doesn't arise, right? When you have the whole a certain view given, and then you definitely, because when you have an eye, say that when there's a certain idea, say you hold a certain view is there, then you're bound to be suffering again, right? That's what is given. That's what we call the dependent arising. Say, Chinese called 持有故彼有,此生故彼生. Like when this is exists, that exists. Okay, when that arises, that arises. Okay, so that's from a dependent arising. So when that is not exist, then that will be not exist. When that is not arising, then there's no arising. So you understand this, So, but the way you understand this very clearly in traditional understanding is because your 7 factors of enlightenment are very stable. Okay. Remember, here even though it didn't mention, but in other texts, for example, it's say that like when a person really can doing the meditation so well, observing so well, because they have built up the 5 faculty. Remember that? So the faculty of the faith, that means yourself and the faith with the teachings, or because you believe the teaching will help in you, right? And then that's why you have that kind of faith, and then you will really energetically moving on and practicing it. You won't stop. You don't want to stop, right? And then that's how your mindfulness also build up. And then when the mindfulness build up, and then your your focus become much more sharp and much more strong, stable, or strengthen your focus. 心情念定慧嘛, and then your understanding is very well, right? Or the wisdom is come up very well. So that is actually is the very basic thing for for someone who have built up this kind of observant skill, right? The same thing when you come to the last stage, that you'll be able to see the Dharma, whether they are arising or ceasing, whether they will cease, and then how they cease, and what condition given is like that, what conditions go in. Anyway, you also ultimately you will see all condition given. Nothing is almost like the real thing, but depends how how the school describe that. Okay, those are some people more tend to describe that or understand it from the emptiness. Some people tend to be understand that as say maybe because of changing or impermanence. Okay, some people tend to be understand that as because of all suffering, right? But they will conduce you to realize that the dependent dependent arising or dependent co-arising or dependency. Okay, but to do that, you need the 7 factors of enlightenment to be built up. Okay, so yes.
Question you mentioned the impermanence and the suffering. Is this 4 contemplation is one related or corresponds to impermanence, emptiness, and non-self, and because there's also 4 things there. Impermanence, suffering, impermanence, suffering, emptiness, no self, and these have 4 contemplations.
Yeah.
Do they have one correspondences or like
no.
any kind of relations?
Yeah, yes, they do. When you come to Abhidharma system, when you come to some other system, but when you look at this text didn't put it there now.
Canon has a Four Noble Truth.
No. Of course we have. If no Four Noble Truth, we don't have Buddhism anymore. No. I want to say is that yes, if you read further. So this is why when you look at the detail, like when we read this, the path of purification, or what, they are still also talking the same this, but they enlarge the whole scale into detail, more detail. Did I answer your question, or because you asked different questions?
I'm thinking maybe like say contemplation of body is to allow you to recognize that there is no permanence. And then the next thing, contemplation of your feeling makes you realize it's a dukkha or something.
Okay, I understand. It is possible, but okay, that's why that's another question. Is a big topic. For example, if in case that someone, according to the text, like say, this is my understanding, if somebody have able to practice, they contemplate the body, the Dharma as the Dharma. It means they have practiced the body already, like the feelings. They have established a good mindfulness on the body, on the feelings and on the minds, as well as the Dharma, right? And then yes, there are some schools say you could just back to contemplate the body, because like you say, and the body can easily give rise to you to see the dukkha, the suffering. So that is also possible. And a lot of Buddhist stories also say that too. Like even how they become the stream mentor, we don't know. How they become sometimes especially in the Agama or Nikayas, because their aim is about Arahant mostly. Unless about lay people they become a Sotapanna. During the Buddha's time, I'm talking, that they become a Sotapanna is very good enough for them. So, and you see that actually even a lot of stories say like the person were trying to, because they know this all already, they can pick up any of them, that they can use that, like you say, to be understand as like, because body, let's say the person get ill already, physical, let's say he had a sickness or illness, then it's much easier if we contemplate the body to understand the dukkha. So, but it's not restricted to like, the body is only for dukkha, because the mind can also understand the dukkha, right? The mind, the feelings can understand the dukkha too, and the mind also can understand the dukkha too. Because when you see you have so many different kind of mind, focused mind, not focused mind, and then the big mind, small mind, right? High mind, and that also can understand. This is dukkha. What, right? So yeah. All right, let's finish the last paragraph and then the last ending. Even though there was something missing, that I need to read it myself. Unfortunately, the translation, even I thought I print it, but it's not here. Okay, and then let's read the last paragraph, and then we can have a little break for you. Okay, if a monk or nun
peace or mind, and dwells properly in the four fountains for 7 years, he or she will definitely attain one of two fruits. Either attaining final wisdom here now, or if there's a residue, attaining the state of non-returner, let alone 7 years, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 year. If a monk or nun abides peace or mind and grows properly in the four foundations of mindfulness for 7 months, he or she will definitely attain one of the two fruits. Either attaining final wisdom here now, or if there is a residue of clinging, attaining the state of a non-returner. Let alone 7 months, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 month. If a monk or nun abides peace or mind and dwells properly in the four foundational mindfulness for 7 days and nights, he or she will definitely attain one or two fruits. Either attaining final wisdom here now, or if there's a residue of clinging, attaining the state of non-returner. Let alone 7 days and nights, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Let alone 1 day and night, if a monk or nun abides peace or mind and goes properly in the four foundation of mindfulness.
No, I think we lost one page. Okay. So, anyway, the last page I will send it to you, the PDF file. Okay. I don't know. Only when it's printed out, I realize that this one page is gone. Only a few lines there. Basically, the last page.
It's the same refrain.
Yeah, it's not the same refrain. It's more like.
He or she will definitely attain.
So yeah, basically he will definitely attend that. It's just whether he practice in the morning and then up to the evening, or from the evening up to the morning. That means the whole day. It's kind of thing. So and then he will improve. So he will be gaining his full foundation of mindfulness. So then, of course, the end is say, since the Buddha said so, and all the bhikkhu were so delighted to hear that, and then they will practice accordingly. So that's what the end of
We
it.
write our own ending.
Yes, yeah.
It goes from 7 years to 1 day.
Yes. But I think the Chinese is very interesting. Is because the Chinese version looks first. He say that it's almost like if anyone actually, of course, he addressed the nuns and the monks. And then if they can dwell their mind really properly, properly. You have to remember it's not improperly, on the four foundation of mindfulness. So actually what I find interesting is the next paragraph is that the day you will become the two kind of fruit. One fruit is the ultimate, what the trying to say, attend ultimate kind of side. He definitely attend one of, either attending a final wisdom here and now, that refer to Arahant, Or if there is a residue, so if basically means it looks like somebody who is married is not 100% good, maybe. Attaining the state of non-returner, so or anagama.
I got that far, but I mean, that's a huge difference sitting for 1 day or sitting for 7 years.
No.
And the same result?
No, don't just jump, don't be too greedy, It is a greedy question, I think. Look at that. It said that either the 7 year to 1 year, or either people from the 7 month to 1 month, or either from 7 day to 1 day. There's a gradual way of saying. So I guess that I think it's just want to say almost like telling you that if you really have a proper mind and practice, 7 years, you definitely will reach that, non-stop. I'm saying, not like I practice 1 month, 2 months, I stop, right? Non-stop. But imagine if people really have that kind of mind and then they can practice for 7 years. My understanding is just to say the maximum, if really, I don't think, the Buddha would never say this way, but it's kind of hindered that maximum, if you really practice properly 7 years, you can attain it.
But then, I mean,
and then of course when you're very good already, right? Maybe that's only 1 day. Like Ananda. Ananda was the Sotabana, or the stream enter, right? He knows all the teaching. He was with the Buddha more than 28 years. I forgot how long already. More than 25 or 28, so more than 25 years. He was attending the Buddha for 25 years, right? So he didn't attend Arahant. He was just Usually we believe he was just a stream enter. So it looks like he is strange. But of course, they even in all tradition also something discuss about how Ananda can be the stream enter and then jump to Arahant. So he's different because he had the past Greek marriage, right?
Maia happened in one.
No. It's usually those are unusual cases.
Yeah.
Actually, that's why I always want to tell you, tell you guys, like now, usually we talk about a person, we only talk unusual case.
Yeah.
If everybody's the same case, who want to talk about? We are here, right? We only talk, that guy?
Right.
So, right? Like how many Steve Jobs, right? How many, I don't know, Beethoven, for example,
The problem is we know there's one
Huh?
Steve Jobs.
Huh?
The problem is we know for sure there's one Steve Jobs, but do we know how many arahants are there today?
No, but I want to say that even Arahant, they can attend Arahant like 7 years or 20 years or 30 years. There's nothing surprising during the Buddha's time. But Ananda is a special case, not that because he was important in many things. It's because his special case is he was a stream enter and he only take 1 day become Arahant, right? Didn't he? You know the story, don't know?
But it is a
Okay, I always tell you guys, when you learn Buddhism, read story first, don't read theory first. Because the story tells you something, So you know that Ananda story is that he was really, before the first council meeting, and he was really like, doing his walking meditation, and then on the time he was really, after his walking meditation, he was so tired. He's not walking like a mad mind, right? Which definitely, according to this text, we will say he have the 7 factors of enlightenment there, right? Mm-hmm. And then now he get tired, he need to sleep. Then he just, on the time when he just lie down, the head before touching on the pillow, the leg before touching on the ground, in that kind of position, So, and he attend Arahantship. That's one day. You could even more precise say just 1 second, or one moment, right?
But it took a lifetime.
But
Yeah.
maybe those mind moments just quickly passed. It went from one stage to the next rapidly, just one moment to the next. There was some kind of chitta of once returner, then a chitta of non-returner, then arahant.
It is. Yeah, that's.
Just skipped it.
Yeah, that is, of course. I mean, because generally speaking, and that's another issue, of course. Like another issue means, of course, that I just want to say it's only 1 day. Within a day, he would attend Arahantship. Yeah, that moment. If you talk about a moment, it's believed that, according different school have a different way of explaining. Definitely believe that normally people when they become the stream enter, it need 2 moments. Okay, either even Theravada school or even Sarvastivada school is believe that. And then if the person can be jumped to the once returner, right? And then he can jump to not once returner if he has a really great merit, or because his past life actually he somehow is a stream enter already. Okay, so he would just from that 2 moments immediately he would just have depend on Sarvastivada explanation or Theravada explanation, and then he have 1 moment and he jump to that. Actually, it need 3 moments in a way you could say, then become a stream enter. To become the one returner. So usually you need to take a pause. You cannot become the non-returner immediately. Okay. That in a way, if somebody tell you, I meditate, now I'm Arahant. So you say, oh,
Yes.
master or teacher, master. So you become Arahant in 1 second? Yes. And what about before you were the Sotapanna? No. I just become Arahant now. According to the Theravada or Hinayana school, he's a great liar. According to the school tradition. So even though if one day you want to make story, make it correctly, okay?
But Arahants would never say that they're Arahant.
No, of course no. I mean, I'm just saying this.
That already tells you that he's not.
No, because no. Accordingly, you have to be stopped to become only you could be able, general, and except Ananda, some other exception, right? So you have to be stream and the anagami. No. Always forget the term. Not one returner. Sakadagami, one returner. One returner. You have to be only stay in one returner for a certain time, and then you keep on practice, and then you become the non-returner. So, but of course, from non-returner, you can jump to Arahant. Very rare case too, but you can. But usually also take long time to become Arahant. Okay. So, but this is this word. Don't take that so literally. I just only want to say that, yeah, it can be also because he was mentioned not about the Sotapanna, only he was mentioned about the non-returner and what they call the last one, and then the Arahant. Oh, we still have time. So let's see whether you have any question with regard to this, and we can close this Chinese version. We can proceed to read the Pali. Okay? Yes.
I had a question about the times.
Mm.
When they say it might take 7 years,
Mm.
they don't mean like, well, I meditated once a day for 7 years kind of thing. I think, aren't they saying, like for instance, the 7 factors of enlightenment have to be constantly present at all times during the day?
Yes,
The
for
whole
7
waking
years.
moments. It's
Yeah.
not like I just went for retreats for 7
No,
years.
no, of course not. No, surely no. Definitely no. This refers to when the 4 foundations of mindfulness, including these 7 factors, and I mean, like you say, is constantly there for 7 years. It's almost implied that if you can have the 7 factors of enlightenment constantly present to you for 7 years, you're bound to be reached to, according to Chinese version, I mean, the non-returner and Arahant.
Right, so most people can't even do it for 7 seconds, right?
I think so. Even very hard to retain it for 1 day to 2 days. If you are able to retain it for 1 day and 2 days, you could feel in the world the most beautiful thing is there. Yeah. Even 1 day and 2 days will make you really unforgettable experience, right? So, yeah.
It seems like it's pretty hopeful. I mean, there is a possibility.
Of course, if there's no possibility, we are not.
So I think
I'm
it's
the one.
very
I'm not going to
encouraging
let him
to
Buddhism.
read. Yeah. Although it's difficult as it is, or
Okay.
it's insurmountable, but it seems like the possibility is very open. In that sense.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, in this present life now. Yeah.
So,
Any other question with regard to the Chinese version first before we have a break and then move on to the Pali?
When was the Chinese version translated?
I think this is translated 400.
For the
Five.
Golden Age?
Well, we you know, because this Chinese version is we take this one from the Madhyama Agama to Zhong Ahama. So and then the Madhyama Agama is translated by Gunabhadra actually during about 5th century. So we have no any retentions to be clear whether it was original from what languages. Okay. So, but certainly so far. You might be find a little bit here and there the Sanskrit version. We do find some other Sanskrit version, like one of the mostly actually in the one of the Vinaya texts in the what they call the code, the Buddhist monk code text in Sanskrit, but not in the full text. But you know, so but we don't know from what languages, but definitely in China been translated. So yeah. And yes.
Can you give an example of an internal versus an external dharma?
Okay, so actually we discussed that also. Normally, in all commentary, or even including most of the, in general, I would say, agree that we take the internal as a person itself. External refer to other persons.
Okay.
However, there are also certain passages, if you read the internal and external, it doesn't fit too. That's the reason why it raises up to a lot of questions. So for example, like when they mention about the dhyana, right, in the Chinese version, they talk about the first dhyana and second dhyana and third dhyana and fourth dhyana. How you can say I meditate, I can see the other people's body, fine, or maybe I can have the power of reading the people's mind. Okay, that may be fine too. That I know what kind, whether he have a fetter, no fetter, whether he has this mind going and coming. Okay, let's say it's possible. Okay. According to Sarasvati or Pali, of course, it's possible, right? Because that's the reason why, according to Abhidhamma system, so you have to have a jhana, and then you must be able to read other people's mind, because it's a kind of like, that's called external dharma, right? But however, there's a question here about the jhana also. I don't mean that you don't know the people's jhana, but it's a little strange if we put in the Chinese version. This is, even within this Chinese version, even among the Pali version, people have a debate about this. And some people understand the internal, external can be actually, especially support from Samyutta Nikaya, some of the texts from the Connected Discourse. So, and they should say the internal and external could be understood. Internal mean more like inward, external mean the object. So you're observing as an external. So they have so many different versions of understanding. But as I say, mostly been agreed by the commentary and all most of the tradition in external refer to others person.
So
Yeah.
if I say I'm happy, that's an internal dharma, and if I could somehow read my brother's mind and so he's happy, that would be an external dharma.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm. Yes.
Continue with what he said. Last week you said also that because he mentions internal, external. So internal is the internal dharma, but external you said also watching yourself watching. Remember you talked about that. So right now, if I'm practicing, right? So practical reason. So if I'm aware that I'm sitting right here talking to you, so I can visualize myself talking to you from here.
Mm-hmm.
Mind visualizing myself.
Yeah.
But also I can internally feel what's going on internally.
No, when you're watching that, the watching itself is internal, right? The object you're watching is external.
Say that again.
No, let's say you know that.
Yeah, okay.
Take myself as an example. That's why I say internal. In some context, it looks like internal, external cannot be restricted to just like general understand as the other person. So if you take it another way, the internal means like when I watch, I know that I'm watching, I'm seeing myself sitting there. The one that I am seeing, that the process of seeing is internal, right? But the object, the seeing is external.
So when we practice, then we do kind of, and then eventually so the external internal doesn't become an issue. It also creates a lot of space, kind of detaching ourselves from kind of the self, the anatta practice.
No. Okay, that is very dangerous. This is
So
you're too
how
much
would
with Zen idea. Okay.
Yeah, I'm
No.
because I started with Zen for many years.
No. This is why they have a lot of debate about when you talk about the mindfulness. You can, according at least to the Theravada or even the Saravada Theravada, all this school, what I understand, the earlier school, would not. I don't know how about it. I don't think later school believe the same thing too. But I don't want to debate it with it at the moment. So when you observe something, it didn't ask you to observe that you cannot discern what it is. You should be able. You know the seven factors of enlightenment. You should be able to discern what it is. But the discerning itself would not be. How to say, interfere by your, when your mindfulness become very strong, the discerning itself would not be interfered by your preference. Get it now? Or your preconditioned mind. It has to be exactly just to be that observing that the thing itself as it is. Objectively. And also that's why Buddhism talk about the when a person who become a string mentor or even really strong in practice, the 37 factors of enlightenment should be there. In other words, mean the Noble Eightfold Path should be there. He has to carry the right view there already and the right action and right,
But it makes you not clingy though when you observe it like that. It's not about craving or it's not about pushing away aversion or clinging.
You don't forget about the enlightenment factors, equanimity. What is it about?
Right, equanimity.
Okay, that may answer your question.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that you don't know anything. That's foolish, right? To Buddhism, that's ignorance. You know, but the equanimity is there, right? So you look at the seven factor enlightenment, equanimity factor enlightenment is there, right? Okay. All right, I still have question with the Chinese version. All right, yeah.
Last question. So internal is what you observe within the mind, and external is what you observe outside of the mind. And when he talked about observing himself, that is considered, it doesn't necessarily have to be another person, but anything that exists outside of the mind is considered external, as opposed to what you're observing within the mind is considered internal.
Anyone can elaborate that? It's very deep Dharma and...
So like maybe what she means is like if I notice that it's cold, that's an external Dharma, the temperature. But then if I say I feel cold, that would be internal.
The mind. If I contemplate the mind objectively with what I'm thinking, then that's considered internal. But if I'm observing something outside of myself, for example, and to use Young what he talked about, if you're observing yourself then that's something outside of yourself that's considered that external component, even though you know it within your mind that you're looking at yourself.
But it's all mind, isn't it? My understanding, it's
Yeah,
all
but
mind.
there's an
So there is a
external-
distinction between that, it's all
There is a
mind.
distinction between the external component and the internal component.
It's all mind. It's not distinction.
I think since you talk that, maybe I suddenly
That's
come
my
to,
understanding.
come to my mind to explain this like that. Okay, if there's another, which some other people agree, I don't necessarily always think that way, but agree that external means the external, kind of, not the internal thing, but something out of internal thing. So let's say, it's almost like, it's actually there's always a subject and object. So, and because only when you understand there's a subject and object, since Buddhism are very aware about not going to talk about mind as the object and as a subject, because if you're always really clear to say that mind as an object, subject, you are almost telling that I have a soul. Buddhism are very, very careful about this speech, the language. So, and that's the reason why you can only just know there's internal thing happening and there's external thing happening. And there's also partially remain there's a, if you take it as an object and subject, so the object subject also interchangeable, right? So that's why you saw the internal, external, understand the Dharma internally and externally, and understand this body as internally and externally. But as I say, sometimes this statement, it doesn't always fit to every elements. And I myself take that it's, I don't know, because I'm much more practical, I guess, I believe. But not necessarily I'm right. But sometimes the statement put it here, it has important understanding as if you take it, internal means our object, external means the subject, the object, and then the internal as a subject. So I guess it's more like you just know, later on maybe helping you to understand the relativity also. Things are relativity, conditioning, I guess so. I mean, I take it that way, so. But I still more believe, actually, if you ask me, external refer, mostly. In some cases, when you apply to the dependent arising cases, this is how I don't have much proof now because I never thought this is, I have no proof now, but this just only come to my mind, it could be too, but just for a reference. So when you come to the dependent arising thing, there might be the internal external can be understood more in the way, like the object, because my understanding in Samyutta Nikaya, usually why you cannot prove internal external, in terms of external refer to the other person, it's because when you put that in dependent arising, it doesn't work. So when you look at that in the scheme of the dependent arising, co-arising, so the internal external should be more like, as I say, like object and subject kind of relationship. So, yeah.
And also, truly a practitioner, it doesn't, the term has it doesn't differentiation the term. All he knows is wholly aware.
Yeah. The language is no more there, of course. But this is the text. So the language, this is language. So we still have to explain in terms of language. Yes, when you practice, you don't say, I'm internal. Okay, that's external. So then, of course no. No, well, that is very strange. You become a. You had last question? Yes.
So internal, external is just a way of saying subject and object.
No. It's not only the only answer. I said that already. I need to say this. Traditionally, internal, external still refer to oneself and others. But however, there are so many explaining. Yes.
If I'm observing mind, that is.
I observe mind. The observe itself is internal. The mind that you've been observed as an external.
It's external.
Yeah.
When observing mind. When you're a huge part of this was all about the body. So
no, I don't think so.
Part of this sutra.
Yes. Okay.
About body. So is that training us? Because that's most of our fetters is the body, why do you think that such a huge part of this was about body and such a small part was about feelings and mind and so on? Is that
in Chinese version? Okay, if you look at the Chinese version, no, I wouldn't take that as a huge part of the bigger body. it's very clear that because it's just asking you how you develop the mindfulness. And then don't forget, actually, to be more precise, it's not only mindfulness, to be the practice, develop the mindfulness and your, what we call the clear comprehension. The two things. And then clear comprehension is generally understood as highly related to the action first. But later on, the clear comprehension understand as take the most important part as a wisdom. Right? Because it know all activities going on. Okay. So it's and also there's so many explanations. That's why you need to study Abhidhamma, especially Abhidhamma usually explain all these things to you too. The reason why that the body take as and also people why normally understand the body part first is because it's the easier one and the rougher one. And then actually most of the people are attached to the body. If you look at it yourself all the time, whether your feelings, you have a good feelings or not good feelings, whether you have whatever, your body always takes as a primary concern to you. So only when you really can be able to understand totally about the body, and then you can much well or more focus, or you could say that purely focus only on your feelings than to your minds and so on, and the factors, right? And then of course, I think in general you understand when practice too, only the time when you really can understand the Dhamma. The Dhamma here, the Dhamma here, it refers to the teachings. I always say it relates to the teaching, right? Like 7 factors of enlightenment. Or whether you have these 5 faculties, that means 5 roots, 5 faculties, 5 roots. Or whether you have these 4 energy, striving force, all this is almost like abstract nouns, right? It sounds like abstract noun, right? Okay. Whether I can keep the whole something there, or so like when there's a whole something, I need to keep it. When there's no whole something, I should kick it off. This is like abstract word, right? But to Buddhism, this is Dhamma. So you must be able to know, oh, now, let's say I have a good mind, but then now my good mind go. I want to keep my bad mind, but I don't keep my good mind, right? This is abstract, but that's Dhamma. Also, that's why it's called contemplational Dhamma. So if the body was still because of body influence you because of this, and that you're still not able to see this mental part. Because last time you were not here. Remember, I said that the contemplation and this here, you look at it. If you look at the 4 foundations of mindfulness, you find the 4 foundations of mindfulness comprises 5 aggregates. The first one, the body, was the material aggregate mostly, right? And then you have the feelings, and then you have this the consciousness, mean the mind, right? And then the last 2 that you don't have is the perception, right? As I just said, like a Dhamma, the perception also can be the perception as well as the sankhara, mean the formated, something being made, right? So look at the factors being made, and then the drowsiness, all this is being made, the formation part of it, okay? Okay. All right. I think I should give you 10 minutes break. Otherwise, you all fall asleep, and then you would run away from the class. Okay. Thank you.
However,
We're going 7:45. 10 minutes break.
I think 5 minutes we'll be doing. 你如果要说你先要把另外一个觉知升起啊，就不管你先选哪一个喜觉知也好，然后你是舍觉知也好，就是要哪一个觉知先升起。
所以说你看着他，
不然就是念觉知，就是只是注意，要不然你就只是要舍觉知，要不然念觉，要不然喜觉知。所以你要平衡这个7个觉知，要平衡。对，念觉知是永远都是像一个驾驭的人，就像一个驾马的人。然后呢，你就要把那个前面的3个放在一起，后面的3个放在一起，要把它平衡起来。
把它平衡起来，要不然因为一直在那边看。
对，就是你变成就好像你一只马了嘛，你比如说这个全部的你前面有5只马，不是有6只马，你有一个人在驾驭的这个马嘛，对，如果你没有把它平衡起来，它就会每个5只马都乱了，所以你就是要把它。对，用念，但是一般来讲，如果
因为念是贯穿到每一个人，
是，但是你如果没有办法就念贯穿的时候，你要先提醒啊，比如说这个，对啊，就是前面的3个嘛，这个我记得是法跟精进，对啊，你因为有法有精进跟喜这3个要把它平衡起来，
法有精进 嗯，OK。
然后这个止息跟定跟舍是分在一边，对。有时候这个乱起来，就是因为跟那个五盖有关系的，跟五盖有关系的。如果你这个太这个法跟精跟喜太好的时候，你太用力了也不能。所以那是跟贪有关系。那你如果这个习跟定跟舍，如果它太多，那这三个不在的话，那么你就会变成会很容易就昏沉下去。对，所以你要么就在五盖对峙，要么你就把这三个把它拉起来。所以怎么去做这个，就是靠你的那个念觉知。
对，所以到那边每次就不可以。
你就要平衡它就是。
最后实在不可以就歇一下。所以我每次来听课就刚好有些东西就对峙在那边。然后我懂有些东西已经不是原来那个东西，有在往前这样。因为我也所以刚才讲这边就想，刚好是我的问题，每次就停，不可以很久。你有时候在家里也可以做，就很久就不可以，然后就。
你暂时如果是有这样的，你先要，如果你发觉你是已经跟那个忧有关系的话，那你就先提这三个，先洗。有时候洗呢可以用禅定来提，有时候是在观法上的洗来提，或者是说，那个法就是你要知道这个觉得学法是很重要的这种信心要提起，或者对佛啊法啊僧啊这种都可以，你就把它提起来。如果你修得很厌烦的时候，那如果你修到是感觉上比较麻木的时候，不是你说麻木，你又这三个提起来。但你修到这三个，因为它又变得太过于激动，不是太激动，有点太过于高兴，你就要提这三个，你就要让它这个息安稳下来。所以有时候用进四禅定再出来也可以。所以你看它一样的，从定啊，如果有禅定，你就进那个至少有四禅，然后再出来。然后呢，你舍觉知，当然你也可以用。这个舍观也可以，但是或者你不需要，你也知道，就是要做到舍，就这样子来，就让它平稳起来了。对，当然你也知道，你能做这个都是因为你的念还在嘛，就是你的念觉知。
念是贯穿到每一个。
是。所以P就是像一个调意识这样，就是一个驾马的人嘛，对不对？他有6条马嘛，对他，如果这马他没有弄好，他的两边这样分，你就掌握不来了。
然后就然后就出来，就是这样。反正再进还是在这里现在，所以就是要回去调整。
No, we don't have to be clear. You know, sometimes there's no one answer.
I know.
Because you didn't, before I mentioned, the text is always misunderstood. Agama text, this is my understanding. Of course, different ones, different, maybe different. I just give you for a reference. Agama text is always like everybody here listen to a class. Then everybody have to compare their notes. And then, however, even when everybody even listen to my talk, everybody maybe have different notes. When they want to combine the notes together, sometimes they have to negotiate also certain thing. Like, but he say the internal is this and is that, but he say, but I learning is Buddha asked me to look there. So it can be different, right? So when the notes have to compare and have to be combined into one, everybody had to commit it in the memory. What you will do? Sometimes the text had to be kind of like, I agree with you, but I'm not totally agree with your practice. So why don't we just in between put something there? You don't get it because you never do this job. If you do job, if everybody listen to a class, to a teacher, say that there are 500, say maybe only 100 people or 50 people will talk about that.
It's starting. I understand.
And then that have to be compared the notes, and then has to be write a shorter notes, and everybody can know the main point of it.
Is internal and external constantly going back and forth based on
some masters argue that you don't need external.
Because everything is mine?
No. Because they understand external. If I understand external mean other person, I don't have to be enlightened to understand the other persons. Right. So if you ask me just to be think that external be defined mean other person, then I don't mean that I need to meditate to understand other person mind to become to do full foundation mindfulness. I don't have to meditate and think, oh, what you're thinking, what you're, no. So that's why,
So watching own mind.
no, that's why I say if I understand, if I define the external as other person, then I would not agree the external. So forget about external, just do this, internal enough. But if I understand the external mean the object, then okay, external mean the object, why not?
But even self or our own mind can be the object. So that is when it's the external, is when we're watching the mind watching.
Yeah, the mind can watch in the mind. Of course, you know what you're thinking. That's a function of the
So
mind.
is that external watch or external watching internal?
No. I think you don't need to make yourself too complicated. When you know you're watching your mind, and then your mind, you know what your mind thinking, you also know what you're thinking. So, right, this is, why not? It can be mutually beneficial, right? So. Why not?
I'm thinking too much about it.
I think you're thinking too much. I mean, the problem not thinking too much, it's good to know that you are thinking about that. You don't have answer yet. But as I say, don't jump into conclusion. Always learn the simple version first. Don't believe in any one version, no. But it doesn't stop you by practice because, as I say, if you define external as other person, you could just say, okay, I can just meditate internal, I don't need external. Right?
Caught up in the words.
No. But you know, when you learn Dharma, the word is still because sometimes this is why we study Dharma is not that easy because sometimes it's what source first you come from. Because this is still idea, right? What this idea come from? I don't know how to say. It's very complicated thing there. So. No, I mean actually what I want to say is I don't want people believe in only one explanation. That's what I want to say. But that's my main point.